It's really nice and sunny today. I'm gonna talk about something quickly, the introduction to sex, or the inception to sex. A lot of men out there are destroyed by this, and a lot of women as well. The introduction to sex. How did you learn about sex? When did you start knowing about sex, and at what age? This is a very important subject because sex plays a very, very important role in our lives as adults. I say that because sex is sacred, or is meant to be sacred. Sex is supposed to be a special part of two people that come together for a purpose to love one another, bond, and share a life together. To reproduce, that means to have kids together and raise them. That's what I think, and I think that's the original part of what sex is about, and it's supposed to be enjoyable as well. If that's the case, here comes the challenge. How did you start knowing about sex? Because when you learned about sex, you were supposed to know why sex is there, what's the purpose for sex, and how is that supposed to be handled. I guarantee you, the majority of people, the majority of men out there never learned about sex that way. If you never had to be taught what sex was about, the importance of sex, and how to handle sex, then there's a big problem, because now you end up dealing with something that you're not educated about, something that you have no full understanding of. That's dangerous. Some people learned about sex from TV, some people learned from their peers, some people learned about sex from pornography, different other avenues. But really, if sex is that important in our lives, is that the way we are meant to learn about sex? Ask yourself, is that the way we were meant to be taught about sex? From pornography or from other young kids like our age? Right there, that's where the problem starts. There's not going to be a sense of valuing what sex is about, because you don't know what it is about, because you've never been taught properly to have an understanding of what sex is about. With time, like for boys, it can just end up being a game. How many girls have you slept with? You get married for each. That is the beginning of big trouble right there, because that came with no proper education in terms of what sex is about and the importance of sex. Who is responsible for teaching us about sex from when we were kids? Who is responsible? Your answer is right. The parents, or whoever is raising you up. That's their responsibility, to teach you about sex from a young age and proper education about sex. A lot of problems in marriages and relationships nowadays is mostly centered on this sex subject. So sex, I don't think, was ever meant to be a taboo, but it has been a taboo for ages, and probably still is in different cultures and backgrounds. It's very easy that how you learned about sex, or how you learned about the value of sex, becomes your default settings. If you learned about sex on the basis of, oh, it wasn't that special thing, it'll just be not that special thing. Back to pornography. Pornography is one dangerous thing, especially when kids have to know about sex through pornography, or anyone gets to start to know about sex through pornography, because pornography itself sets a standard that may not be attainable, and it becomes a high that you may never ever be able to achieve. It becomes a drug. The mind works with imagery, it works with imagination. So the moment you have these images in your head, it's not easy to get rid of that. It's not easy to overcome that, and that can easily become your frame or your settings, and it's a high, something that you'll have to try and chase, and but it's not going to be like that in reality. Not always, never. The imagery that comes with pornography is of perfection. It's going to show you perfect bodies, perfect this, perfect that. That's not real life. Real life, nothing is that perfect, trust me. But if the education about sex came first before you were introduced to sex by anyone or by any other means, if the introduction to sex was properly done before you were introduced by other people, it would make sense because you would value it from a young age and you would protect the value that you understand about sex. I'm saying that because there's dozens and dozens of people that are busy chasing that high and they'll never attain it. And in that process, you break people's hearts. In that process, it destroys you. But obviously, it's never too late. It's something that you can work on. You have to go back into your archives and go back into your imagination and all that and find out where did this start from, how did that, and then re-educate yourself. And obviously, if you're a parent and you've got your kids or you're raising a kid in any way or form, it is your duty to properly educate your kid or your kids about sex in a proper way before it's too late or before they learn it in a wrong way. If you don't, they're gonna learn it from somewhere in a wrong way, and it's gonna be dangerous to them and others.